Hi everyone. In today's session, I will try to cover a general guide to help you understand what are the pujas or rituals that we actually go about conducting during a housewarming ceremony. Now, I'm not going to be just touching upon this on a generic note. The reason why I'm saying this is there are multiple rituals or pujas that are conducted as per the Hindu tradition, especially before entering a house. Be it if you're buying a new plot, or you're constructed a new plot, a renovation project, or a house that already has vastu defects and you're trying to rectify it. The various terms in which this pujas are conducted. So on a general note, I will be classifying these pujas in terms of three different categories. The first category being pre-construction stage, the second one being during the construction phase, and the third one being the post-construction phase. So this is a one-stop guide for you to help you understand a basic overview of what all pujas or rituals are done, and what are the basic ideology behind actually conducting this, and what exactly are they conducted for. So, firstly, let us try to understand, like I said, the first division of what exactly are the pujas or the rituals that are conducted for a space or a residential or a commercial setup. First one being for the pre construction phase. Firstly, the pre-construction phase, especially seen for those who have a open site area or a plot where they want to construct, be it a residential space or a commercial space. Here, what actually happens is there are two types of pujas that are done at the initial stage, even before construction or even before the first stone is laid on the site. This is basically the Bhumi Puja, and the second one that is done along with it is the Vastu Puja. Okay, so the first one, Bhumi Puja, is basically the purpose of doing Bhumi Puja is to seek blessings from the Mother Earth, in order to not only have no problems during the construction phase or after getting into this place, but let the entire process move smoothly, and for being able to ask and seek the blessings of Mother Earth for infinite abundance as they stay and go about utilizing the space. Now, some of the things that are actually conducted during this Bhumi Puja is Ganesha Puja. Some of them also go about doing Navagraha, or the 9 planets associated puja, and multiple key offerings like coconuts, rice, etc. given to the earth, and a small pit is later excavated on site as the initial beginning or the mark, which terms it as the Bhumi Puja. Along with that, some of them choose to do it, some of them don't. This is completely based on the kind of probably beliefs or practices that they're associated with as per their customs. But Vastu Puja is the second one that they do along with Bhumi Puja generally. Vastu Puja basically means even the plot or the site area has a particular Vastu already existing on it. This might be based on the site surroundings, the actual orientation of site, or if there are any negative factors or any on-site, what you say, areas like water or anything, if there's any features basically available on site and they're located in the wrong spaces, if there's any negative energy seen on the space, whatever it is, to make sure these are nullified and to again prosper and to kind of reduce these doshas on this site, we go about doing the Vastu Puja. So these are the two major pujas that we actually go about doing, especially before the actual construction phase starts. Okay, so after this, the second phase that we spoke about is the during the actual during construction phase. So during this construction phase, what actually happens is that there are two types of things, and both of them are optional. That is completely based on the customs and beliefs that each of these families practice. But irrespective if it's a commercial or a residential space, one of the major things that you'll be able to see is the foundation laying puja that they do. Basically, the first stone that they lay in terms of the foundation, they do a particular puja regarding this. Apart from that, even if you are basically into the South Indian custom, we have something called as a threshold or the Vaskal Puja that we do. That is the main door when initially, it is being laid. There's a certain puja that is done to the Vaskal of it. So that these are the two optional pujas that they do during the construction phase, and that is following as per Vastu. Again, this is known to kind of ensure spiritual strength and structural integrity, and to help make and to basically get the blessings and to make sure that the entire process is, fruitful, not just during the construction but even after occupancy, post construction as well. Next comes the homas and yagnas. So to support these processes of either threshold or, stone, first stone laying on the ground, all of these are basically having a couple of homas or basically fire pits that are created. Again, this is in terms to devote it to the Agni Mule or the Agni caller, or the fire deity that is there. This is also done in order to ask for stability when you kind of go about erecting pillars or columns on site. And even when you're going about the roofing area or roofing part of your house, even then a particular puja is conducted. So these are of course optional because many of them do practice it while a huge number of people also don't. It's completely based on their customs, their religions, their financial conditions and all of those. So I'm giving you just a basic overview of what are these that are conducted during the construction phase. Now once we have completed what all is the basic requirement of your pre-construction time, what is your during construction pujas, let us now try to focus on the main bit, that is what are the pujas or rituals that is conducted after your construction of your house is actually done, because this is the major chunk that actually goes into doing or conducting a ritual. So after construction we have major thing, that is the Gruha Pravesha Puja. Okay, and the whole purpose of the Gruha Pravesha Puja is to invite the divine energies into the space, to bless them, to make sure that this area is energized in a positive day, and to remove any possible negative doshas or vastu doshas happening in the space. And the reason why I'm specifying this is during the construction phase. Okay, even though on plan as an architect or designer, you would have given an entire plan that is Vastu compliant, but there are going to be errors or actual technical changes on site as the construction progresses. So there might be inevitable changes or Vastu defects that are created. And to make sure these are nullified, we offer a puja during the Griha Pravesha into to the god and the deities and the divine power, to ask them to make sure these negative mistakes or any of these negative energies caused by construction mistakes are nullified, and the entire family who's shifting in, or if it's a commercial space, whoever is going to occupy the space, to make sure no negative effects affect them as they use the space. So that is why we call this as the Gruha Pravesha Puja. Now, along with the Gruha Pravesha Puja, the second puja that is constructed or the conducted, or the Gruha, when basically the housewarming ceremony is happening, the second adjoining puja that is conducted is the Vastu Shanti Puja. Vastu Shanti Puja is very similar. Again, the whole concept of Vastu Shanti Puja is done to make sure that any Vastu doshas that is there is rectified, and know that no energies are disturbed on this space. So these two go hand in hand. I'll repeat myself. You have the Griha Pravesha Puja, that is the housewarming ceremony, where you generally boil the milk and ask them, and on the stove, and you make the milk to overflow. You add a couple of grains into it, and using that you use it in the puja that you do. So Vastu Shanti Puja and your Griha Pravesha Puja go hand in hand. Along with that, the entire process of entry into a space. So there are three levels of which we consider or classify, puja or housewarming ceremonies that are done. First one being the Apurva entry. The Apurva entry means when a newly constructed house, the first time you're entering it, that is called as the entry for your Apurva. The second one being your Sapurva. So any particular house that is either undergone renovation, or if you feel there has been a travel that long period of travel and you're returning after that, or if there's been a continuous absence where nobody is residing in the space, that time you conduct the Sapurva Puja entry. Basically you'll conduct another homa that time to enter that space. And the last one being Dhandwa. So basically this Dhandwa entry is basically if there is a huge calamity that has happened while the person was either staying in that space, and they had left the space, and they had a hospital visit or something, and they returned back after a long period of time to the house, or if there was a major renovation that was not just in the interiors but actual structural or anything, that time they do this kind of an entry puja and enter the space. This might be called in different names as per different traditions and religions, but these are the three levels of which the housewarming ceremony or entry rituals are done into the space to reap positive benefits and to make sure any Vastu doshas that are there are nullified. Now, as per the Hindu tradition, because I personally come from India, to be more honest, South India, so this entire session is mostly curated from my experiences, a couple of rituals that I've been able to experience either by having it in my own house or either by the relatives' houses that I've visited or any of the functions that I've attended. And some of them are also from multiple resources on reference online that I've sourced from. So, keeping that in mind, I have been able to give you a breakdown of what are the general pujas that are done or rituals that are conducted during a housewarming ceremony. That includes both the Griha Pravesha Puja and the Vastu Shanti Puja. So, firstly, we start off with the Ganesha or the Ganapati Puja. Next, we go about doing the Vastu Shanti Puja. Along with that, the Navagraha Puja is done. So, just to break down what Navagraha means, Nava means 9 and Graha means planets. So, as we know, Vastu has an aspect or implication of planets associated to each zone. So, to make sure we neutralize this 9 planets that is associated on Vastu and to make sure we reap the positive benefits from all these particular planets, we conduct a Navagraha Puja at home. After that, Lakshmi Puja is done. And apart from that, like I said, during the entire process, a milk pot is placed on the stove, generally kept in the kitchen. And once the gas stove is switched on, we make sure to boil the milk until and unless the entire milk overflows. When it overflows, we add a couple of grains, and this basically symbolizes new beginnings and prosperity. And along with that, especially I have personally seen in independent houses, since this is more feasible, they tend to bring a cow and a calf to enter the space, and they do a particular puja even for cows and calves as well. The reason why this, at least in my understanding, it is done is because it depends on the most famous talked about topic as per my Hindu mythology, that is the Kamadhenu cow. Kamadhenu cow can be just a female cow, or it can be a combination of the Kamadhenu cow with the calf. This is told to bring a lot of wish fulfillment and endless food and prosperity into the space. And this comes from an ancient historical or basically mythological story where when the angels or gods and demons were churning, what happened is there were 14 gems that originated, out of which Kamadhenu cow was one of them. And this cow is told to embody all the gods, goddesses, everything within itself. That is why it is considered auspicious, and that is why when we go about doing your Griha Pravesha Puja, especially after the construction, we generally tend to bring cows along with calf, or generally just cows, into the space. We conduct a kind of puja and we offer it as well in order to ask its blessings as well and bless us abundantly and infinitely. So that now we've considered the basic agenda of how the entire Griha Pravesha Puja, Vastu Puja, and what are the pujas that are conducted within. There are certain optional rituals as well that is conducted based on a couple of probably different regions or family traditions. I've kept this optional because this is something I have come across. There might be many more. Please do add it in the comment section if you do know, or if you have conducted something on your own and I have missed out. But as per my knowledge and what I've been able to see, firstly, the Navagraha Shanti Homa is also something that they conduct apart from the actual Navagraha Homa that is conducted. So basically all the neutralized planets or any zone that is having a negative effect, and you feel that that planet associated to that zone might cause any natural any hazards, that kind of Shanti Puja is done. Secondly, you have Sudarshana Homa. Basically, this is asked for protection and spiritual enlightenment or upliftment. Next, you have the Shankusthapana. Basically, this is done as a sacred ritual during pillar construction, but this is something that is conducted. Kalasha Sthapana is basically a sacred pot that is, kept in a space to symbolize a divine presence, especially while doing a puja. And the other one I've been able to identify is the Satyanarayana Puja. Basically, this is offered to Lord Satyanarayana Swamiji, and this is basically a ceremony that is done to make sure the deities of each direction is harmonized if you're either space or your home that you have. So this is something that you'll be able to see. Now that you've understood the entire the Vidhi Vinadam, or the process in which or the structure in which these post construction rituals are done, let us try to understand how exactly this is executed when done on site. The reason why I'm saying this is, even if you're an architect or designer or any vastu consultant, especially from an Indian base, you will be able to realize that irrespective if you do have a project or not in your hand, even if it's interiors or full construction phase, you have to realize these pujas, because when you actually start execution on site, your clients are going to intervene and ask a couple of days in between to say, we are having this puja here, this puja here, we need our particular requirements done by this particular date. Not everyone is okay with you handing over complete projects. There might be breaks in between. There might be days where they might ask gaps before the entire execution phase happens. So just to give you an example, let me tell you what actually happened in a very very close relative friends of, and like family friends basically of mine. They had a independent house that was being built, and what happened is, the pre-construction phase is generally okay, because anyway it's a barren and vacant land, so they can do the puja and they hand over the entire project requirements to the architect or designer, and they say you can start construction. But when the construction starts after the Bhumi Puja, when you come into a South Indian context, they generally have a Vaskal Puja. That is when you have your main road, the entire Vaskal or the threshold placed, and there's a puja conducted for that. But when my particular friend went about the construction phase, they did not know that Vaskal is a very, puja basically is a very important thing in this South Indian household. So they went about conducting, continuing the execution phase even after placing the threshold, and the clients did not do the puja, so they were very very disheartened about it, and they discontinued the project completely with the particular friend of mine who was an art designer. So such situations might arise. So at this point of time, please do make sure you first have a detailed understanding with your clients to understand when are they basically planning to have pujas as per their customs or rituals, and based on that you can go about conducting or scheduling your works and execution on site. So, coming back to the main topic, once you understand and your or whatever execution that you do on site, and finally you're going about handing it over to your clients for the Gruha Pravesham Puja, what the clients go about doing is they either go to a Vedic astrologer, or if they're themselves versed in this occult sciences, they'll be able to look at the Panchangam and they'll be able to select the favorable dates. So the basic 4 levels at which these favorable dates are taken up is, one is of course during the Bhumi Puja, so that would be conveyed to you. Second would be, this is an optional one, where either when you lay the first stone on your foundation or when you do your Vaskal Puja, they may or may not ask for a particular date in between during the entire execution phase. So mentally be prepared for that. The third one being, again, this is optional, when the roof is being laid, they also have a particular puja done during that. And the final one being the fourth phase, that is the Griha Pravesham phase. The reason why I'm specifying the last one as well is that not always do the designers have the opportunity to give a fully completed project by the Griha Pravesham phase. When I mean fully completed project, the interiors might be done, all the fixtures might be added, but any movable furniture like your say sofa units or your dining tables, or your utensils or anything that is movable and has to be brought from a place, this is not added in the house, because as per Vastu Puja or Vastu Shanti Puja, when it is being done during the Griha Pravesha Puja as well, it is very important that to not have any furniture materials during the phase. It is only supposed to be brought into the space after the puja is conducted. That is why you might have the final furniture movement and all of that, and setting up your entire space after the Griha Pravesham Puja. So make sure you have a detailed understanding and a communication, like clear communication with your client, to understand the requirements, so you can go about scheduling your work and completing your work in phases as per their requirements of the rituals that they conduct. Again, there might be a variety of people from variety of religious backgrounds, regional backgrounds, family traditions. Make sure you have a thorough understanding of all of these to actually go about making most making the most good interactions between your clients and yourself, and not come into a position where you might lose your job just because of this. So now that you've understood the different levels and how the muhurtas and all are taken, how exactly or what are the benefits of the Bhumi Puja? Again, coming back to the pre-construction phase, I'm just going to give you a detailed understanding of what are the advantages that I have been able to understand of why people go about doing Bhumi Puja for before construction of a house. This is preferably seen or mostly seen before the actual execution, either be it an independent house or before an actual apartment is being built, any of this, but before it actually starts with the construction phase. So firstly, Bhumi Puja, basically when you convert it into an English language, Bhumi means the earth and Puja means the rituals. So the rituals that you give it, that you conduct for Mother Earth to please her, to ask her for to ask her or seek her permission to go about utilizing her area or her land for cultivation or for actual growth of a particular house on the site. It is very very important. That is why we seek this asking Mother Earth for permission. Second, after this is done, the entire site is cleansed. Most of the time, what happens, there are multiple rituals. I'm just naming a few. People tend to keep cow dung on different areas of the site. Some people actually take a cow, tie it up there, and see if there's any negative energies. And if there is a negative energy, a couple of traditions like pre-puja of Bhumi Puja is done in that. Once that is done, whatever the muhurtam is set, they tend to go about doing the actual Bhumi Puja along with Vastu Shastra Puja in the space. And if it's a residential project and if they're having a farmhouse, in those criterias, what happened is they tend to do another puja along with Bhumi Puja, which basically asks them to give good profits, not only in the farmhouse but like happiness, health and wealth while they stay, but also to help them get good cultivation and profits from the crops they yield. So there's multiple combinations of pujas that actually come up there as well. And yeah, once all of this is done and once all of these pujas are completed, this basically gives the client and the architect to go about starting off with their actual construction phase on the site. And like I said, the whole purpose of a Bhumi Puja is to make sure the end user of the space or the person who's going to reside or use the space is blessed with abundant, probably wealth, health, happiness, support, well-being, and all of those good aspects into their life. So like I said, the whole purpose of Bhumi Puja is to seek firstly permission if they can build it or build the particular land on site, and to seek blessings that they have only good things happening to them once they actually start off with the building process. So that is the basic importance of which Bhumi Pujan is actually done before construction of any site. Now, what are the couple of do's and don'ts that you do or need to know before you actually acquire the land? So firstly, like I said, this is a basic Vastu principle that we have when you have a site. Okay, you have, some of them have 8 directions, some of them have 10 directions, some of them have 16 directions. This is regarding to different Vastu schools of thought. Whichever it is, one common Vastu tip is that the southwest zone of your entire building or your entire plot has to be the heaviest or the massiest or the tallest, while your northeastern zone must be your lightest or must be the lowest point on your site. This is the most important thing. The ratios might differ as per customs, religions, schools of thought. That is completely up to you, who you refer to, who you go to, or who is designing your space. But do make sure that you keep this fundamental tip very very important to balance out the first major energy on your plot. Okay, so that is one thing. Second thing is that this is a optional thing because this is a belief among some people and may not be followed by the rest. That is, before actually going about constructing your site or constructing your building on the site, it's very important to first build the compound wall. It is not necessary to have the gate, but basic compound wall around at least 3 sides is very very important. So go about doing that before you actually start off with building a particular or bringing up the building in the particular site. After that, again, like I said, as per certain beliefs, especially when you come to a South Indian context, cows and calves play a very important role and they're asked to bring on site. So during this, as they represent the Kamadhenu cow from the Hindu mythology, if it is your tradition, you can reach out to any of your astrologers or any of your guides or whoever you seek trust in, and you can go about understanding how to approach this process and you can go about doing the same. And last one is, you have to reach out. Again, this is basically based on belief and who you actually trust, or your gurus that you keep in trust with. So you can either go to a priest or a pandit or a guru and ask them what are the best muhurtams or the auspicious dates to go about conducting all of this, especially in terms of Bhumi Puja. So this is the kind of do's and don'ts that you do before you actually start constructing a site on the site. Again, procedure of doing a Bhumi Puja. First, you have to clean the entire site. When I mean clean, any barren land, when you see, most of the times there are grass, there is weed, like, there is unnecessary plants that are growing. So any partheniums or any of those that are there on site, try to clean it off as much as possible. Or you can just, the shrubs, whatever is there, try to clean them. If you do have trees on your site, what I would recommend is first understand what these trees are. Okay, and see if they have any vastu importance, be it negative or positive. In a design language, I wouldn't personally say, to kind of cut down on trees, as it wouldn't be required if you're actually knowing how to incorporate the tree into your building as well and design as per that. But please do make sure that whatever tree is there, understand whether it's good or not, whether the tree is falling in the correct zone. And after you understand all of this, go about designing the entire space as per vastu, no matter how many floors you go, and then you can go about doing the same. But yeah, coming back to the thing, make sure you clean the entire plot properly, where there's no shrubs, unnecessary weeds, or whatever that is there on the site. Remove all of them. Once you have a proper barren land, what you go about doing it, you start digging a particular pit on the site. So the whole process of digging the pit, there are two ways of how I have seen. One, they either go to the northeastern zone, because northeastern zone is basically the Ishanya corner of your site, also ruled by Guru or Jupiter planet, and that is where the first digging is done, because also northeast is supposed to be the lowest point. This is one kind of thing I've seen. The second one is, especially if there's a Bhumi Puja done along with the Vastu Puja during the Bhumi Puja itself, that time they sit in the center of the site and they dig one in the center of the space. So there are two iterations that I have seen. There might be many more from many customs. You can go about choosing which is appropriate for you, and you can see what best works for you. But these are the two things that I've done. So that's why I'm saying they might differ as per traditions or customs. Once that is done, when the puja actually starts, the owner generally is asked to face the east. This can again change as per customs and religions. And whatever idols are meant to be placed, you can keep it. Sometimes during Bhumi Puja, they tend to keep coconuts, and they tend to do it as well. So whichever you follow, whichever you're comfortable with, you can go about practicing that. After which, they tend to use lime. So basically 5 limes are slashed in different corners of the space and one in the center as well. And again, this can change as per beliefs and customs. So please do make sure you're equipped enough to understand how to incorporate it into your beliefs and customs. And after all of this, you have 2 basic pujas that are done. One is the Ganesha Puja, that is done as the first. Again, this is basically any start of auspicious work is done first chanting in the name of Lord Ganesha. So that is done. Post which, if you do have any Devi Puja that you're doing, or any Sthapane, or anything of those sorts you're doing, you can go about doing that. But once all of this is done, sometimes there are possibilities when Navagraha Pujas are also done during Bhumi Puja. But again, based on your beliefs, customs, go about doing the same. Now that we have understood the entire process of Bhumi Puja or Bhumi Puja along with Vastu Puja done before the pre-construction phase, let us try to directly jump into the post-construction phase. I will not be covering the in-between, that is during construction, because this is very optional and very few people tend to do this, especially like when you're having your roof slayed or your Vaskal or your threshold puja. Very limited crowd. So if you do want more information, you can reach out to your nearest astrologer or pundits or your gurus that you follow to get complete understanding when to schedule them. But now I will be jumping into, like I said, the post construction phase, that is your actual Gruha Pravesha. So what is your Gruha Pravesha or your Griha Pravesh puja or ritual that you do? So as per the Hindu cultural tradition, any Gruha Pravesha represents a housewarming ceremony that is done on an auspicious date, taken according to the the birth details of the head of the house, or a common date that is taken from all the date of births of the people residing in the space. So it depends as per different methods. I'm not going to go deep into that, but this is a logical approach to it. So any space is told to be incomplete to occupy unless and until this Gruha Pravesha Puja along with Vastu Shanti Puja is done. Okay, so most of the times what Hindus do is they refer to the Hindu lunar calendar or the Panchang to determine what are the most auspicious dates to go about executing this. So generally what I have seen is that either they have 1 day pujas that are done, and especially in my tradition that we do, we have 2 days on which the housewarming ceremony that is done. If it's just 1 day, what they do it in the morning is the major one. But if it's 2 days, generally the day before in the evening, they tend to do a couple of pujas like the Satnarayan puja or those pujas. And then in the second day, they go about doing your actual Gruha Pravesha where you enter the space along with your Vastu Shanti puja. But yeah, if I will be discussing this more in detail, but coming into who conducts the puja is your Pandit, your Purohits, or your gurus that you have and seek and believe. You can reach out to them and they'll be able to assist you. But who is it done for is basically the end occupiers of the space. So make sure you're knowing the difference between both of this. Okay. So on a general note, the rituals that are conducted for a Griha Pravesha are basically completely dependent on your local customs, your sectors that you belong, your family traditions, your all of those, your spiritual beliefs, all of those. And like I said, there are variations to the same ceremony that is done based on all of this. So please do make sure that you reach out to the one you truly believe in to make most out of it and to enter your space using this. And like I said, coming back again, I want to reiterate that most of the things that I've been discussing today in this video is mostly based on personal experiences or the rituals that I've been a part of, either for my own house or for the ones that I have been visiting as a friend or a well-wisher. And some of them are also something that I've read about. I have mentioned a couple of links at the end of the session as well, which I've taken references from. For more information, you can check out those. But yeah. So coming back into the topic, the different pujas that are constructed during the or done or conducted during the housewarming ceremonies. One, the Ganesha puja. Like I said before, any puja is conducted or started, the first person that we or the first god that we actually pray for is Lord Ganesha. And because Lord Ganesha is told to be the remover of all obstacles and the one who basically rules the entire concept of new beginnings. So we tend to start off by worshipping him. From that, we go about doing your Navagraha puja. Navagraha, like I said again, is the Nava means 9 and Graha means planets. So the 9 planets puja that we go about doing. Now, like I said just some while ago, in the Bhumi puja, we do a Navagraha puja there. But specifically here, when I mean the post construction, it is the Navagraha Shanti Puja. That is, after the construction is done, even if it was Vastu compliant, sometimes there might be execution issues because at the end of the day, human error can happen. So to nullify any defects happened because of the Vastu that is constructed, we do a Shanti Puja for the 9 planets associated with the different zones as per the house. So this is something that is done. Along with this, you have the Vastu Shanti Puja. Very similar to this, it is basically to nullify or to decrease the negative effects for the entire Vastu of the space the puja is conducted. Now, apart from that, we have the Lakshmi Puja, because Lakshmi or goddess Lakshmi is known to be the one who delivers the wealth. So if you guys are known about the Astalakshmi concept, which basically means the 8th form of Lakshmi goddess, which bestows different aspects like health, wealth and all that. So Lakshmi Puja is conducted during this phase. Along with that, you have a Kalash Puja, where basically a coconut is placed on a copper plot or a silver pot and your kind of rituals are done along with it. Along with that, you have a Havan or a Homa that is done. And you also have a Panchamrita, that is basically 5 materials that is added and poured on a deity during the puja. These are optional things, but I'm still mentioning it out for you guys so you know what is done. The 5 sacred mixtures that are actually done during the ritual is milk, curd, honey, ghee and sugar. Sometimes it can be jaggery as well. Based on your customs, they might be different as well, but this is the general one that is done. Along with that, what we generally do, like I said, is a Satyanarayana Puja, but also you also have the Sudarshana Puja that is also done. Again, this is based on the deities you follow, the religions and customs you look into. You can choose which is best for you and go about conducting the same. Now that you've been able to understand what are all the pujas that are actually done, let us try to understand what are the different steps that you go about doing to decorate before the Bhumi Puja or the Vastu Shanti Puja. I'm just generalizing it, so it might change based on it, but this is a general note. First one is, if you are actually entering a new space that is already built, you tend to decorate the entire space with flowers, especially the main door. You use a toranam or the leaves like mango leaves, actual flowers to decorate it. Even when you have a puja mandir or a room in your entire house, though, that entrance is basically done. The place where the Vastu Shanti Puja or the actual puja is happening, post the construction or pre-construction puja, flowers are decorated there as well. And if you have Ganesha Puja, you basically have to bring a photo frame or an idol of Lord Ganesha. Again, this also includes a long recitation of the Vastu Purusha Mandala stories or any stories related to construction and gods and deities relating to the same. So both Vastu Purusha and Vastu Mandala stories are read. Along with that, you also have the Kalasha Stapane and the Navagraha Puja that is done. You have a lot of yagnas or homas that are created, and you offer prayers. Along with that, what happens is, especially when you're entering a new space which is already constructed, you tend to keep a milk on a boiling pot, and you tend to make it overflow, and then you add multiple grains into it, and using this go about doing the next pujas that is there. So that is also there. So yeah, having sprinkling Ganga Jal basically is the Ganga water, or some people use Gomutra, that is cow urine as well, which is sprinkled using mango leaves around the house, as these are known to purify the space. Along with that, a lot of artis, a lot of like Mangla artis are performed and prasad is offered. And if it is in the Bhumi Puja, especially, a digging of the pit is done in the corner, that is generally the northeast or the center, as far as I've seen. There might be other variations to it, so you can look into it and you can go about conducting the puja based on that. So the benefits of Vastu Shanti Puja, this is preferably for the post construction phase, is that one, it helps to free any person who's going to reside in that space in the future to not be affected by any of the Vastu doshas that are done, and to help them incorporate and give them health and wealth, in good abundance when they start staying in it. Apart from that, they might help to remove any bad effects done because of incorrect placements in particular zones that might affect the planets associated to that particular zone. Also, it is known to believe that it helps in inducing and bestowing happiness and continuous love and abundance into the family and every member of the family. It also helps in purifying the space and making it more positively energized. And how basically, when can you go about performing the Vastu Shanti Puja? Like I said, any Gruha Pravesha along with Vastu Shanti Puja is done in 3 levels or 3 entry levels. So one is basically when you're actually constructed the house completely, that way. Second, if somebody had a long illness, they were in the hospital, or they were at not staying in the house for a long time because of travel and all, that is the second time they go about doing it. And the third time is basically if there's a major renovation, especially structurally, that is the third time they go about doing the Vastu Puja. So these are the 3 elements or layers in which they are done. And yeah, this is basically either done for a new office space or a house, residential, commercial, whatever industrial spaces. The whichever it is, the first time before starting using that space, Vastu Shanti Puja is done along with your Gruha Pravesha Puja. Alright. So here I'm not going to get into the household. As you can see, this is a general outline of a Telugu Brahmin households as to how they go about doing a housewarming ceremony bit by bit. This was something I sourced from Quora, so I wouldn't take any credits for this. But you can go about understanding how they go about doing it, and you can get an idea as well. So yeah, I've again linked all the links of references I've taken in the last slide, so you can always refer to it for more information. But yeah, coming into the next thing, in case if you feel that you do not have the budget or you do not have the time, but you do have a basic understanding of all the astrology and all of this, and you want to go about conducting a self done Gruha Pravesha Puja, like I said, I would personally advise you to go to a Pandit or a Guru that you believe in to get this done. But if you still feel that there is a possibility where you want to do it on your own, this is just a simple step by step process that you can follow to go about doing a Gruha Pravesha Puja on your own. This is a much more compressed and a much more easier method for you. But yeah, this is again something that you can read through. But to give you a basic idea of it, first when you enter the space, just go about keeping milk on a pot, boil it, and make sure it overflows. And I know once you do that, you can just keep a Ganesha idol in your space, and you can go about doing a small puja. If you do have a puja room designed in your space, you can keep the idol there and do the puja as well. If you're aware of the Navagraha Puja and you know how to conduct it, please do go about doing it in your space. And if you do know about the Satyanarayana Vrata or the Sudarshana Homa, whatever that you're comfortable with, please do incorporate it in your space. And once all of this is done, make sure you return back to the puja area and conclude the entire puja by asking God to bless you abundantly and the entire house and all the end users of the space. This is a very, very simple thing, but you can definitely look into it if you do feel that you're equipped enough and you're comfortable enough to do it on yourself. The last part that I want to cover is what are the gifts that you can actually give for someone who's conducting a Vastu Shanti Puja or a housewarming ceremony. It may be your friends or family. Based on your budget, you can go about doing this. But yeah, one, I don't know if you guys are aware about it, but we believe that before starting anything good, it's always good to have something sweet. So a box of sweets is something that I would genuinely start off with, because at the end of the day, you just don't go to their house for seeing the function, but you go to support them and help them and wish them the best on their new journey in the new space that they've actually taken. So box of sweets is something that you can give. Or if you be considering the kind of spiritual or religious backgrounds you come from, you can see what kind of religious idols you can give them. And apart from that, you can also give them a couple of feng shui and vastu approved items or figurines or idols that they can keep. But once you're giving them that, please do make sure you tell them what is the perfect zone to keep them, so that they can reap the benefits in a positive manner. But yeah, apart from that, money directly you can just give them. What we term it in our language is shagun. So shagun basically is given in the like the money that we keep in the envelopes range anywhere between 101 to 501 to 1001. Always make sure you add the 1 rupee extra while you're giving it to them. So as per your financial stability, as per your relations with the person, you can choose how much money you want to give. Just add a 1 to that, like 1 extra rupee to that, and you can go about giving the same. One more thing that I would suggest and genuinely recommend is, both as per Vastu and Feng Shui, wind chimes play a very, very important role, especially in terms of Vastu remedies. So, if you consider a wind chime, and especially in terms of Vedic Vastu, keeping this wind chime in the northeast might actually act as a remedy to it. Or even on a general, having it kind of helps in neutralizing and positively impacting the space. So, you can give it to your clients as a housewarming present as well. Apart from that, if you're looking at any decorative items or installations, I would suggest a flubber vase. If you're looking in more detail, try giving them a Vastu certified yellow earthen vase. You can get it from any of these authentic dealers that are there, because keeping this in the multiple areas, so the especially the Prithvi Tattva area, will help you increase the energy flow and also support you. And keeping this in one of the best zones as per the 16 directions can also help you get or reduce the kind of expenditure that can happen in the future. So you can go about placing that as well. Along with that, if you do have god photo frames or any religious photo frames, or just general photo frames or sculptures that you have that are Vastu compliant, again, this is based on people's beliefs and all, you can go about gifting it to them, and they can go about keeping it in their spaces. But just make sure that if you're taking anything with multiple colors or color oriented photos or photo frames, make sure to suggest them which zones are best. So if it's blues on stuff like that, you can suggest your water zones. If it's reds, oranges, you can suggest your fire zones. Similarly, if it's your earth, you can choose like yellows or golden color photo frame colors, or the actual images inside it. In those, you can suggest them in the Prithvi Tattva. So make sure you suggest it as much as you're giving these gifts as well. And the last one is silver idols. The reason why I suggest this is, especially when you come to Vedic Vastu, it's preferred to give silver idols to people. There are I have heard two variations of this actually. Let me break it down. There are a couple of people who say it's not good to give photo frames or god idols to people as housewarming presents, as it's not considered auspicious. There are a certain section of people who follow this. Like I said, it's as per your belief. But from where I come, it is actually considered auspicious to give people photo frames or idols or figurines of God to, especially those who are entering a space, and particularly if they are silver sculptures or idols, because silver is one of a natural element that is considered as a vastu remedy or material. So having it given to them, especially placed in the northeastern zone, if they have a puja mandir there, can help them reap really good benefits. So that is why. But again, like I said, as per your beliefs, you can go about choosing which is best for you, which is feasible for you and monetarily acceptable for you, and you can go about getting the best things out of it. So I'd like to end this by saying, irrespective if you're a designer or a potential home buyer or someone who's looking for a house to actually stay in and find that cozy nest that you want, I really wish that all your endeavors get successful. You're able to find the house or your dream home that you want to stay, or a commercial plot or your industrial or whatever it is. I hope you get the most positive aspects to it, and I wish you all the most peace, health and joy and lasting memories from this space. So saying that, thank you very much.